Ever found yourself obsessively thinking about someone you don't even want a relationship with? It's like there's no love, no deep connection, just this intense sexual attraction. Maybe it's a celebrity or someone who's taken or a person you barely know. Sexual attraction is that intense, uncontrollable pull that makes it hard to think straight. You don't even see yourself in a long-term relationship with them, but your brain says, let's obsess over them for the next 24 hours. You're not in love, but the sexual pull feels intense, even overwhelming. So what is this? And more importantly, when does it usually fade? Before we jump to the solution, let's break down why all of this is happening. Once you see the 8 stages of sexual attraction, it'll start to make sense. And you'll finally feel in control of your life again. You deserve peace, not chaos. So let's dive in. This video isn't here to label or shame. It's here to offer clarity, insight, and self-understanding. Because sometimes just naming what you're feeling is enough to loosen its grip. So with that said, let's talk about it. Stage 1, the spark. It usually starts with a flash, a glance, a photo, a moment. You feel an immediate physical attraction. It's not deep, but it's primal. And it's often surprising how quickly your mind fills in the blanks and you can't stop thinking about it. So why does this happen? Well, this is that dopamine rush. Brain scans actually show that sexual arousal lights up the brain's reward system, especially the ventral tegmental area, or VTA, which is the same part that gets activated by addictive drugs. Stage 2, idealization. You start imagining scenarios that are sensual in nature, replaying moments and drifting into fantasies, even when you know it's probably never gonna happen. It's a distant fantasy. You don't even know them like that, but you can't stop. Why is that? Because it's what our brains are wired to do. In the early stages of sexual attraction, our biology drives us to focus on the positives and overlook the flaws. This is the halo effect. When one attractive trait leads us to assume others, like kindness or intelligence, even with little evidence. It's not logical, it's primal and chemical. Why? Because it's tied to our evolutionary need to connect and reproduce. Connection often begins with primal desire, and our brains push us to idealize others, increasing the chances of forming a bond. And this drive is how the brain increases the chances of intimacy, even if it means overlooking red flags, which leads us to the next stage. Obsession. You think about them constantly, you check their socials, you wonder what they're doing and crave more exposure. It's not love, it's dopamine. This obsessive thinking is driven by dopamine and low serotonin, similar to the patterns observed in addiction or obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. Experts like Dr. Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist, have highlighted how dopamine is central to romantic attraction and obsession, triggering the same brain pathways involved in addiction. Dr. Jeffrey Schwartz, a psychiatrist, explains that in OCD, the brain fixates on certain thoughts or behaviors due to imbalances in neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. The same neurochemical processes are at work in obsessive attraction, leading your brain to crave more contact, even when it's not healthy. You're not crazy. Your brain is chemically infatuated, caught in a loop of obsessive desire, just like the repetitive cycle seen in addictions. It's a natural and intense response rooted in your brain's reward system. Stage 4, fantasy and projection. At this stage, your mind is probably running wild. It's not just about how attractive they are anymore. Your thoughts start getting more intense, and the sexual scenarios become wilder every day. The more you think about them, the more vivid and extreme the fantasies get. It can feel like these fantasies are becoming part of your reality. You might even start imagining that they would feel the same way if the opportunity ever came up, building a fantasy around them. But here's the catch. You're likely projecting your own desires onto them. It's not about who they really are. It's about what your mind wants them to be. This is where lust takes over. If they're a celebrity or someone completely unavailable, you might find yourself obsessively thinking about them, visualizing sexual experiences that go beyond what's even realistic, all while knowing it can never happen. The obsession isn't about forming a real relationship, it's about fulfilling that intense desire. Freud explained how we often project our own needs and fantasies onto others, shaping how we see them. Research supports this, showing how our brains can fixate on someone who isn't available, filling in the gaps with fantasies of sexual satisfaction. So at this stage, it's not about romance, it's all about feeding that raw sexual desire, even if it means pure lust with no relationship involved. Stage 5, emotional frustration. So you develop sexual feelings for a celebrity or someone you know is totally out of reach, and found yourself building up all these wild fantasies. Then reality hits, and you realize it's never gonna happen. That's when you feel the tension between your fantasies and the reality of the situation. This is where most sexual attraction starts to fade because without real connection or reciprocation, the excitement just isn't there anymore. You've imagined something that doesn't match what's really happening, and that causes emotional friction. So why is this stage where most sexual attraction begins to fade? Well, research by Cross and others found that when we obsess over someone who's unavailable, our brain's reward system keeps firing, but it eventually becomes less satisfying. The more your desires go unfulfilled, the less exciting it feels, leading to emotional frustration. As dopamine levels drop, the sexual attraction begins to fade. This is where most sexual attraction starts to fade because without real connection or reciprocation, the excitement just isn't there anymore. Stage 6, withdrawal. You start to detach, either by force or by fatigue. You might feel embarrassed, confused, even a little sad, but this is a good sign. Your nervous system is regulating again. Research by Panksepp found that when we go through emotional distress, our brain naturally works to bring us back into balance. So this detachment is just part of that process. Stage 7, clarity. Now that the fog is lifting, you see them more clearly. Maybe you realize it was never about them. It was about something in you. Loneliness, curiosity, escapism. This brings insight. Research suggests that we often project our unmet emotional needs onto others, especially during times of emotional vulnerability. But when you're aware of your emotional needs, this stage can help bring insight, helping you understand what you're really searching for. Which brings us to stage 8, integration. This is where you reclaim your power. You understand the impulse without being controlled by it. You're not broken or shameful for feeling lust. It's a completely natural human response, but now it's not running the show. So if you're stuck in an intense attraction and wondering, why can't I stop thinking about them? Maybe it's not love. Maybe you're just in stage 3. And the good news is most of us fade out around stage 5. Understanding the stages helps you ride the wave instead of getting swept under it. Because lust might be loud, but it doesn't have to lead. Do you relate to any of these stages? How did you cope with it? Have you ever found yourself stuck in this cycle? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Psych2Go for more content like this. And remember, you matter. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.